The book Why Buddhism is True was written by Robert Wright. He is a writer and journalist who has written about science, history, and religion. In this book, he explores the ideas of Buddhism and connects them with modern science, especially psychology and neuroscience. Wright argues that Buddhist teachings, especially those about suffering and the way our minds work, match what scientists have discovered about human emotions and behavior. He explains how Buddhist ideas can help us understand why we often feel unhappy or stressed, and how we can use these ideas to live better lives. Wright starts by discussing how the human mind evolved. He explains that our brains are designed for survival, not for happiness. In the past, humans needed to be alert and cautious to avoid dangers, find food, and reproduce. Because of this, natural selection shaped our minds to focus on problems, worry about the future, and desire things that might help us survive. But today, in modern society, these same instincts often make us unhappy. For example, we might feel anxious even when there is no real danger, or constantly chase after things like money and status without ever feeling satisfied. Wright believes that Buddhism offers a solution to this problem, providing ways to quiet the mind and focus on what truly brings contentment. One of the key ideas in Buddhism is that our thoughts and emotions are not always true reflections of reality. Wright explains that our minds create stories about the world, but these stories are often misleading. For example, when we feel angry or afraid, we might believe that something terrible is happening, but in reality, the situation may not be as bad as it seems. Similarly, when we desire something, like a new phone or a promotion at work, we might believe that getting it will make us happy. But once we have it, we often find that the happiness does not last long. Wright connects this idea to scientific research, which shows that our brains often create illusions and that we are not always in control of our thoughts and feelings. The cycle of desire and disappointment keeps repeating, making people chase after things they believe will complete them. But in the end, they are left unfulfilled. To deal with these mental illusions, Buddhism teaches mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment without getting caught up in thoughts and emotions. Wright explains that mindfulness can help us see our thoughts more clearly and recognize when they are leading us in the wrong direction. He describes his own experience with meditation and how it helped him notice his thoughts and emotions without reacting to them automatically. Scientific studies support this idea, showing that mindfulness meditation can reduce stress, improve focus, and increase well-being. Wright also discusses how meditation helps people become less attached to their thoughts, making it easier to avoid unnecessary suffering. Another important Buddhist idea that Wright discusses is the concept of not-self. In Buddhism, this means that the idea of a permanent, unchanging self is an illusion. Many people believe that they have a fixed personality and that their thoughts and feelings define who they are. But Wright explains that modern psychology supports the Buddhist view that the self is not a single, stable thing. Instead, it is made up of different thoughts, emotions, and experiences that change over time. For example, the person you are when you are happy is different from the person you are when you are angry. If we understand that the self is not fixed, we can learn to take our thoughts and emotions less personally and not let them control us. This idea can be liberating, as it allows people to change and grow rather than be stuck in a rigid identity. Wright also talks about suffering, which is a central theme in Buddhism. The Buddha taught that suffering comes from craving and attachment. When we want things to be a certain way, we often feel disappointed or frustrated when they do not go as we hoped. Wright gives examples from everyday life, such as wanting a perfect relationship, a successful career, or a comfortable life, and feeling unhappy when things do not turn out as expected. He explains that instead of trying to control everything, we can learn to accept things as they are and let go of unnecessary desires. This does not mean that we should not try to improve our lives, but that we should not become too attached to specific outcomes. Wright suggests that embracing impermanence and learning to let go of expectations can lead to greater peace and happiness. Throughout the book, Wright connects Buddhist teachings with scientific findings. For example, he discusses research on the brain that shows how our emotions and thoughts arise automatically, often without our conscious control. He also talks about experiments in psychology that show how people's perceptions can be influenced by their emotions and expectations. These findings support the Buddhist idea that our minds are not always reliable and that we need to train them through practices like meditation. Wright emphasizes that understanding how the mind works gives us the power to change our habits and reactions, leading to a more balanced and fulfilling life. Wright also discusses the role of meditation in changing the brain. Studies show that meditation can rewire the brain, making people more calm and less reactive to negative emotions. Wright shares his personal experiences with meditation, describing how it helped him become more aware of his thoughts and emotions without being controlled by them. He acknowledges that meditation can be difficult at first, but he encourages readers to be patient and practice regularly to experience its benefits. He explains that even short periods of meditation can have a significant impact, and over time, it becomes easier to maintain mindfulness throughout the day. One of the main messages of the book is that Buddhism is not just a religion, but also a practical guide for understanding the mind and improving life. Wright does not focus on the religious aspects of Buddhism, such as beliefs about karma or rebirth. Instead, he presents Buddhism as a kind of science of the mind that anyone can benefit from, regardless of their religious background. He believes that Buddhist practices like mindfulness and meditation can help people become less anxious, more compassionate, and more in control of their emotions. Wright argues that the insights from Buddhism can help people become more aware of how their thoughts shape their experiences and can lead to a more peaceful and meaningful life. As the book comes to an end, Wright reflects on the challenges of following Buddhist teachings in daily life. He admits that even though he understands these ideas, he still struggles with negative emotions and desires. However, he believes that the more we practice mindfulness and meditation, the better we can handle these challenges. He encourages readers to try meditation and see for themselves how it affects their minds and emotions. He suggests that rather than striving for perfection, we should aim for gradual improvement and self-awareness. In conclusion, Why Buddhism is True explains how Buddhist ideas about the mind, suffering, and happiness are supported by modern science. Wright shows that our minds often create illusions that lead to unnecessary suffering, and that mindfulness and meditation can help us see reality more clearly. He argues that by understanding and applying these Buddhist principles, we can live calmer, happier, and more meaningful lives.